Perfect. All right. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his companions, and all those who follow him until the day of judgment. Uh, Sister Malika, this collection is called At-Tahil al-Fiqhi. They have it according to the four schools, right? And all of fiqh, like the subjects of fiqh al-ibadat, fiqh al-mu'amalat, fiqh al-usra, al-junayat, قواعد الفقهية, أصول الفقه, المدخل الفقهي, or تاريخ التشريع, the history of the development of fiqh. All of that is here in that format, in charts. There's no proof from the Quran, no proof from the Sunnah. This is the whole skeleton of all the subjects. So this is like the tools for like mastery of fiqh. Of course, there's levels. You have to study with the teacher and so on. But what I'm saying is that this is, they have it for the Hanbali fiqh, they have it for Maliki fiqh, they have it for Shafi fiqh. In regards of, and Hanafi fiqh as well, in regards of the book, which is this one, the Madkhal al-Fiqhi, which is the history of fiqh, it is the same in all of the sets. And in regards of Qawaid al-Fiqhiyya, Usul al-Fiqh, is very similar, but according to the school's criteria, right? So I'm just sharing you because there is you're gonna ask me where can I get something like this? Well, our sister Reem has it in her store, the four sets. This one I actually got it from Egypt, and actually one of my teachers, Dr. Sheikh Ali Ahmed Ali Al Makrami. He is one of the top contributors to this set, to the Shafi fiqh. So this is it's nice as a way to kind of get the whole subject, the whole content like this. This is one page. This is studied in hours, like the explanation and examples and all that. But you have the skeleton, so the skeleton gives you that framework and structure instead of just a lot of meat, but the bones are not established yet. This is what this foundation is, inshallah. So I'm going to begin with just brief summary on the Qawaid al-Fiqhiyya, right? And we have the video for class 1. So last week we covered what is al-Qawaid al-Fiqhiyya. In English they call it legal maxims. In English they call it legal axioms. But Qawaid is like the essential like foundation of fiqh, right? So it's like, and then what is the difference? We talked about what is the relationship between al-qawaid al-fiqhiyya, the legal maxims, and what is the relationship between usul al-fiqh. So the legal maxims, and again, we can go in different levels, right? We can go in the level of the book that I sent, which is 50 something pages by Sheikh As-Sa'di. We can go directly from the hadith approach, from the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi, because that was the objective for Imam al-Nawawi writing his 40 hadith, so that it can have the legal axioms that everybody can use in their life. All right? We can go by the 40 hadith of Imam al-Suyuti on the legal axioms. There is another book, Treasury of Sacred Maxims by Shahrul Hussain from the UK, which has some explanation. Or you could go deep and you go into the Ashbah al-Nadha'ir. This is like a masterpiece in the Shafi fiqh of Qawaid al-Fiqhiyya. This is by Imam Jalaluddin al-Suyuti. And so it has the 5 major legal axioms, and then from that, all of the other axioms that are derived from those 5, right? These 5s are like we say, like they are totally like agreed upon. like, and they are derived from the Quran and Sunnah. Other legal axioms by surveying information are developed, but some might not be directly derived from the Quran and Sunnah, but they're derived from these major legal axioms. Okay, so we will explain, we'll give some examples as well. Yes, Sister Malika.
Okay, so I did study the legal maximum several times. I wanted to study more like usul al-fiqh, like
Yes.
in deeper details.
So
So I
usul.
did study the legal maximum with Hatim al-Hajj. I did study it in
Mhm.
Egypt, but the one that always stunned me was usul al-fiqh itself.
Yeah, so
Like the deep.
I can send you a series. I can send you a
Okay,
series where my Sheikh Mohammed Az-Zuhaili, he did it and
okay,
it's on YouTube, and it's
okay.
maybe like 17 sessions, and it's
That's fine.
called but it's in Arabic, and
Yeah, I understand Arabic.
it's called Al-Wajiz fi Usul al-Fiqh, that
I
his
have that one. I have it. That's the one I studied before.
is it
So
the Wajiz of Usul al-Fiqh of Sheikh Wahb Az-Zuhaili?
I believe I can't remember the
If
author,
it
but I
is
know
his,
it was Al Wajiz,
yeah, so
because that's the book I have. But
yes.
studied that like 20 years ago, so I need to restudy it again.
So the thing is
So
with Sheikh, my teacher, Sheikh Mohammed Zuhaili, has been teaching fiqh for over 50 years.
that's perfect. That's what
Okay.
I need. I need
And
something
he
more
lives
deep.
in the US, and he understands the contemporary environmental application of these sources, which
Okay,
yeah, so he is a teacher of teachers, right?
that's
Yeah,
good. So
yeah.
is it possible that you send me the information,
I'll
and
send you
I will?
I'll send you the invoice first, and
Okay,
I'll send it to you, inshallah. Barakallah feek.
inshallah. I
Okay.
will still attend this, but I was thinking it would be like, because I printed the book, and each maximum have like 2 pages,
Yeah, it's not that much,
and I'm like, that's less than what Sheikh Hatem Hajj was teaching on Sundays.
because the thing is, Sheikh Hatem Al Hajj will go deep.
Yes, that's
And
what he was
sometimes,
doing.
yeah, and sometimes you miss the skeleton.
Yes,
That's what we're trying to get at, like
yes.
an introduction to the legal maxims, and that's the series, inshallah. So let us
Okay,
begin.
inshallah.
I'm gonna
Yes,
begin, inshallah. Okay.
Jazakallah khairan. Okay,
Wa yaki
fine.
barakallah fiq. So
I'm
again,
gonna stay.
barakallah fiq, jazakallah khair. The relationship between usul al-fiqh and qawaid al-fiqhiyah. Usul al-fiqh studies the sources of law. And studying the sources of law is, you have Quran and all the different sciences that would help you understand Quran. Reason for revelation, and nasikh wa mansukh, the which ayah came before historically, which ayah came after, all of these different. So you go to Quran, it's not just I go straight to the Quran, is I go to the I go to the I go to a study of the ayats on that subject, and then the study of the Quran and its sciences to understand what it means, and also studying books like Ayat al-Ahkam, that like Imam al-Qurtubi and other scholars, they wrote the tafsir of the verses that are pertaining to legal judgments, right? So therefore, you study the Ayat al-Ahkam. And then the other source is hadith. And then you go to hadith and its sciences. You go to all the hadith on the subjects, and scholars do that. They analyze the grades of the hadith. They analyze the order of the proof. This hadith came in the Mecca period, this hadith came in the Madani period, type thing, right? And then how did the companions apply it, and how did the tabi'een understood it, and how did the scholars of fiqh, did they act upon it or not? So it's just a whole, it's not just I go straight to the Quran, this is the ayah, this is the hadith, and this is the proof. Scholars simplify for us and they give us that, but they already did that background study. If they give us all the detail, will get tired because it's a lot of information, right? And then you have language and other subjects. So usul al-fiqh focuses on the sources of law. Qawaid al-fiqhiyya, the legal axioms, is like the boundaries. That keeps you within the boundaries of the Sharia, and it makes matters easy. So these the main legal maxims are five, right? Actions are judged by their aims and purposes. Leave that makes you doubt for that doesn't make you doubt. No harm and no reciprocating harm. Hardship necessitates ease. العادة محكمة. Customs are a law so long as they don't conflict with the religion, right? So these are five of the qawaid al-kubra. So now we're gonna move on to the first qaida, which is al-umur bimaqasidiha. Jade al-umur bimaqasidiha. So you have in there's two words, al-umur and maqasid. So first and foremost, as the main purpose of Allah, of the lawgiver, is and of the Sharia, the law of Allah, is to bring benefit and to remove harm. One of the scholars who was called Sultan al-Ulama, Al-Izz ibn Abd salam he said that the Sharia has two main purposes. One is the bringing of benefit and the removal of harm. Okay, so that is the Allah's objective. So, for example, how does that apply? In Mecca, there was shirk. That's harmful, right? Allah prescribed for that as a solution, tawheed. In Mecca, there was zina and there was immoralities of walking around the Kaaba without clothes, etc., etc. And Allah says, when you go to the masjid, خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ masjid, right? So take the beautiful clothes that you have. So it indicates wear clothes, right? Allah prescribed marriage, right? So that it can preserve the lineage, and it could preserve the well-being and the health of the society. So this is how that applies. Now, in regards of al-umur, there's umur and awamir. Umur is like occurrences, like we say, circumstances, occurrences, right? And awamir can be all commands, right? Maqasid or maqsid is al-qasd, and al-qasd is that which you intend, right? That which you intend. Now, there is, when you have in our umur, in our affairs, in our occurrences, they're divided into three parts. Actions, sayings, right? So whatever we do, actions, sayings. And the third one is a matter of the heart, is the intention. You can do certain actions, but the intention might be different, so you're going to get a different result, right? So the aim of it is to, and this is based on the hadith about the significance of the intention and the aim, is the hadith in Riyadh al-Salihin that says, Inna Allah la yanzuru ila suwarikum wa ajsamikum walakin yanzuru ila qulubikum. Allah does not look at your appearances, at your bodies, but He looks at the condition of your heart. وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَىٰ قُلُوبِكُمْ. So this is where we get that from. In regards of the laws of the world, when we look at the laws of the world, a lot of times they're judged upon by the outward. They're not looking at the intention. It appears like this, it comes out on the news like this, headline covers like this. It's just on the surface, the appearance, right? But in regards of the Sharia, is judging the inward. And that's when people have that internal battle, when they start looking inward and start seeing the need for rectification of that inwardness, right? In that, now another, the in maqasid, the maqsid is something that's hidden. Some call it al-illah, right? Like a reason, the hidden reason, or al-hikmah, the wisdom, right? The hikmah or the wisdom. And we have an example in the story of Musa al Khidr. Musa and Khidr, when Musa alayhi salam, by his understanding and the fact that Allah spoke to him, he gave a sermon and he said, I am the most knowledgeable amongst you. So Allah wanted to remind him. And Allah told him, take this boy, take this bucket, with a little bit of water, take this fish and go on this journey, and you're going to find in a place, right? Majma al-Bahrain, you're going to find there, abdan min ibadina. He didn't say, though there's an opinion, because Allah gave Khidr something that some say he might be a prophet. But Allah describes him in the Quran, abdan min ibadina, as a servant for my servants, that I gave him some knowledge. So Musa is on this journey looking for this. He was given signs, but was not given a specific location. And then we know the incidents. First, he was allowed to, he found Khidr. They went, they found the boat. They requested from the poor people, masakina ya'maluna fil bahr, poor people that worked in the sea, and they asked Musa and Khidr, can we ride with you? And Musa and Khidr ended up pulling the planks and damaging the boat. So now, Musa alayhi salam judged by the surface, are you trying to drown the people? Are you trying to drown the people? And then Khidr said, didn't I tell you, إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبْرًا? You're not going to be patient with me. You're not going to be able to be patient with me, right? And then the boy, so he saw a boy, he killed him, right? Do you kill an innocent soul? This is a great evil. Then again, إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبْرًا. Then he went to a town. And as travelers, typically the custom is that the people of the town, they host. So that was expected, but it didn't happen. So Al-Khidr, he saw the wall that was falling or collapsing, and he fixed it up. Now the reason why, because there was the treasure in of the orphans, but he didn't say it. Musa alayhi salam is judging this, like all of these things are happening, and you're doing this. He's judging on the surface. But then Al-Khidr says, now, if Musa alayhi salam, that's how some is interpreted, if he would have been patient, we would have gotten more wisdom from Al-Khidr, right? So then now Khidr says, هذا فراق بيني وبينك. Now is the separation between you and I. سأنبئك بتأويل ما لم تستطيع عليه صبرا. And I'm going to inform you. And then he informed them the wisdom. أما السفينة فكان لمساكين يعملون في البحر فأردت أن أعيبها وكان وراءهم ملك يأخذ كل سفينة غصبة. Right? He said there was this ship belonged to poor people that worked in the sea. And behind them, I knew that there was a king that would take the boats by force. So I damaged it so that the king wouldn't find benefit in that boat and leave it, and then the poor people can fix it, right? And so on. And so every story had a wisdom. So this is showing like how things can appear a certain way, but the wisdom can and the intention can give the proper meaning of these things. Now, the foundation of these of this qaida al-umur bimaqasidiha, actions are judged by their aims and purposes, is the Quran and Sunnah. So from the Quran we have وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ, and they were not commanded except that they worship Allah sincerely, making all of the deen dedicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that whoever desires for Allah, فَلْيَعْمَلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَلَنْ يُشْرِكُوا بِرَبِّهِ أَحَدًا, and let him not worship other than Allah. So, وَالْعَمَلُ الصَّالِحَةِ is zahir, is outer efforts. وَلَا يُشْرِكْ بِرَبِّكَ أَحَدًا, and don't worship other than Allah. That's inner action. So you have the inner and the outer. Like the hadith that says, أُمِرْتُ أَنْ أُقَاتِلَ النَّاسَ حَتَّى تَشْهَدَ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. I was ordered to fight the people until they say La ilaha illallah. Right? So what it means, it doesn't mean all the people. It means specific. So like in usul al-fiqh, sometimes something that is you find in the Quran or in the Sunnah, something that is written generally is sometimes means a specific matter, and sometimes something specific has a general connotation. So here, umirtu an uqatil an-nas. Can a believer just go and kill other believers? The blood of the believers is sacred, right? So it's not allowed. Can a believer kill a hypocrite if he's not sure with proof that he is that? No, because you do not know. Because you don't know the unseen, right? Like the Sahabi that killed another person, and he has said La ilaha illallah before he was killed. And the Prophet ﷺ said, you don't know what's in the heart. Did you open his chest and see if he's sincere or not? You don't know what's in the heart. So another thing is you cannot kill the non-believer. And I'm saying it like that because I want to distinguish between the loose usage of the word kafir. Because the word kafir comes from the word kafara. And kafara is you have, let's say like you have a seed and you cover it with dirt, that's kafara, right? So a kafir is one who receives the truth, denies it, and covers it up and rejects it. So it's not fair to throw this general statement for everyone that's not Muslim if we did not proclaim the message. And Imam al-Bayjuri, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that one of the taklif of the human beings in regards of aqidah is bulugh al-da'wah. One of the levels of accountability for in regards of creed is that the da'wah has reached the person. Otherwise, they're not accountable, right? And they can fall in the category as the hadith that says, that talks about Ahl al-Fatara, those that didn't receive the message. They will be tested on the day of judgment, and if they pass, they go to paradise. So there are many people that didn't receive the message. So that's why when I say fighting or killing a non-believer, let's say it's a non-believer that rejects Islam. Let's say it's a non-believer, but he's not fighting you. So therefore we can't fight because they're not fighting us. Because Allah says, fight those that fight you. So therefore the Muslims is exempt. The munafiqeen is exempt unless like there's proof. The non-Muslim, if he doesn't fight you, is exempt. So it's only those who fight you. So here it says nas, but it's talking about specifically those who fight you. And this actually was explained by one of our Sheikh Abu Ishaq Ruwaini, who just recently passed away like less than a month ago. He was a scholar of hadith from Egypt. Rahimahullah ta'ala. So anyway, so we have also in regards of, we mentioned that knowledge is three. So this hadith, the hadith proof for this qaida is the hadith of niyyah. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. So there's various version. There's إنما الأعمال بالنية أو إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. Actions are judged by the intention, or actions are judged by the intentions, right? And everyone will get the reward for what they intend, right? The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then gives an example. So that's the important part. Then there's the example. فَمَنْ كَانَ هِجْرَاتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Whoever's migration is for Allah and His Messenger, فَهِجْرَاتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَاتُهُ لِلدُّنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا أَوْ امْرَأَةً يَنْكِحُهَا فَهِجْرَاتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِ. If the hijrah is for some worldly gain or to get married, then the migration is, they will get the reward for that which they migrated from. So now, in regards of the intention, there are matters which are adat, there are matters that are ibadat, there are matters that are al-uqud, which is adat is regular matters. Like you're going to Walmart, you're going to Sam's Club, you're going to buy some things for the family. The buying of those things and you're being a responsible person, you get the reward for being responsible and taking care of your family. Then that's a regular matter, right? You go, you don't go, you don't get no sin, right? Now, if you intend that you're going for the sake of getting some, seeking the provision of Allah. Like before you go, you make the dua of entering the market. وَلَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَحْدَهُ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ لَهُ الْمُلْكُ وَلَهُ الْحَمْدُ وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ, and you Bismillah, you know these little things. Now, with that intention, that regular matter is raised from an aada to an act of worship because of your intention. So the intention has the ability of raising your status, right? Of raising your status. Now, in regards of the story of this hadith, so there were some women scholars, women companions of the Prophet ﷺ, that their level of dedication to Islam, of course, all of the women companions were dedicated to the Prophet ﷺ and to Islam, but like Sulaim, when Sulaim was proposed by a non-Muslim to get married, and she was asked what would be the mahr, and she said, your Islam. You submit to Allah, and remember, it's not by name, it's not just la ilaha illallah. Submitting to Allah means that you devote yourself to Allah, you commit to Allah. It's not just accepting Islam just for the sake of that marriage, but it's that you're going to commit, right? And that was the dowry, right? Qais, there was a companion that he wanted to get married with Qais, and that was during the time of the hijrah. And Qais said, I marry you if you make hijrah. You go to Medina. So he went to Medina, and that's when the Prophet ﷺ said this explanation of the hadith. فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَاتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَهِجْرَاتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Whoever's hijrah is for Allah and His Messenger, then his hijrah is for Allah and His Messenger. And then the companions will make fun of him. They will call him Muhajir Qais, the one who migrated for Qais, right? The one who migrated for Qais. So the niyyah again is al-qasd, is the intention, is the aim. What is the place of the niyyah? The place of the niyyah, mahalluha al-qalb, right? Mahalluha al-qalb. If someone, like they say, is muwaswas, meaning that he's constantly doubting himself. Did I make the intention? Did I, right? And they feel that the need, they have the need to say it loud. There's no issue with it. The base is that the niyyah is silent and the place is the heart. But there are cases where somebody feels like they have to say it in order for them to focus and not be in salah. Am I making dhuhr or asr? Right? And sometimes they'll say, Allahu Akbar, oh, I intend to make a dhuhr, and then I intend to make dhuhr 4 rakats, and then they start praying. If a person has a need to do that, then it's okay. But to make it general that it's okay to do it, that's not the base is the intention, mahalluha al-qalb. The ruling in matters of ibadah, matters of worship is wajib, is obligatory, right? Is obligatory. The time is in the outset of the action, like before the action. So let's say, for example, you give someone a gift or you give someone money, right? You give someone money and then you realize, you know what? I'm just going to intend, let it be sadaqah. You gave it as a gift. The intention has to be before, right? Right? You can say, so that's the intentions in the outset. And for fasting, they say an tubit al-layl, that it should be at night, right? Al-aqsa, the latest will be before suhoor, right? Or during the time of suhoor, like during that time. Now, the kayfiyya or the is depends on, meaning if you're doing an action, the intention, another meaning of intention. So qasd is aim, right? Aim, objective. But the niyyah, what it does is tamyiz al-amal. So for example, you have, I'll say I have 2 cups, right? Which one do you want? But you don't know that I have these 2 type of cups. So the niyyah gives the real apparent, the real meaning of things. So you can do an action, but the action is judged by the intention. So that's the value of the action. What is the intention? Is the intention to have 2 different gains? Right? Sometimes if people do that, sometimes if you do it and you get something else, like for example, fasting. You intend to fast and you know that in fasting there's a health benefit, right? But you intend to fast. Or you intend, I'm gonna fast and I'm gonna focus on my health too. Right? If the intention is kind of, the better intention is I'm fasting for Allah. I'm fasting seeking the rida Allah. Right? Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. Right? But if a person does it and has that, seeking that benefit as well, there's no problem. But it's better to do it for Allah. It's better to, like, I am fasting this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all the benefits that come with it, I accept, kind of like, but your intention is to seek the pleasure of Allah. In the process, seek the help from Allah. Look what Allah prescribed, fasting. And fasting has these benefits. So you're intending for Allah, but you're still kind of modifying the intention instead of, I'm fasting to lose weight to look better. So where's Allah in the equation? I'm fasting for the sake of Allah, to be healthier for the sake of Allah, so I can live longer for the sake of Allah, to look better because Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty, right? You see that? But Allah is always in the thoughts. Now, if someone in regards of the benefits of a niyyah and of this legal axiom, al-umur bimaqasidiha. عند الفقهاء, according to the scholars of fiqh, تمييز العبادات عن العادات is to distinguish between the worship and the regular matters. Okay, to distinguish. So for example, I'm gonna go pray 2 rakats. What is it? 2 rakats fajr, 2 rakats tahiyat al-masjid, 2 rakats that you're doing for istikhara. Was the 2 rakats, right? Then tamyiz al-ibadat ba'daha an ba'd. That you're distinguished amongst the worship itself. I'm making that such, I'm gonna go to the masjid for salat al-dhuhr. So you're in the process, but you're making that intention. If you don't make the intention, your Dhuhr is 4 rakats, Asr is 4 rakats. What's the difference? Right? So you mayyiz between each act of worship. Also, another one is between the fard and the sunnah. I'm fasting in the month of Ramadan. Right? I'm fasting the white days. I'm fasting Mondays. Right, and you different intentions. Some people say I fasting Mondays because of the hadith that talks about the virtue of Mondays, fasting Monday and Thursday. Others will say I'm fasting Monday because of my love for the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ used to fast on Monday, and he was asked why. He said, I was born on a Monday. Simple, right? So your it's Monday, but your intention can vary. And there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just to distinguish between the actions. In regards of the ulama, they say tamyiz al-maqsood bil-amal, meaning that it gives the proper, it shows the aim of your actions. And that's why the scholars are very hard on making sure that the intention is sincere, making sure that is aligned, right? And so this subject of niyyah, of intention, enters into 70 abwab of fiqh. 70 subjects of fiqh all begin with this hadith, the hadith of intention. Also, the intention for acts of worship is obligatory, right? So, for example, the salah, the wudu, right? When you're washing the hand, right? In the Shafi method, it mentions niyatu in the ghasl wajh. So you wash your hands, right? Because that's when you're gonna start, and the first thing wa ghasl wajh, niyatu in the ghasl wajh. So that's the intention. Also, the different sayings, like when can you say the niyyah? When is it allowed for one to say the niyyah loud? Yes.
If there's doubt.
Is there doubt? Good. But what about when is it obligatory to say the niyyah loud for everyone? Hajj and Umrah. Why? لتميز بين حج الفرد، حج القران or حج التمتع, to distinguish between the type of hajj. So you say نويت حجا وعمرة, نويت حجا, right? So that's why there you can say it loud. In regards of محلها القلب ووقتها أول عبادات, in the beginning of the worship, and ونحوها إلا ما استثنى. So again, there's exceptions. So yes, the time of the intention is in the beginning of the action, but again, there is other like for example, fasting in Ramadan. Some say you intend in the beginning of the month and that's it. Others say no, you intend every night, right? And sometimes people forget, but they already intended in the beginning of the month, so that makes it easier. In regards of القواعد المندرجة, so here is meaning the if you mix the intention, it can invalidate the action, right? And there is some legal axioms that are like derived from this قاعدة الأمور بمقاصدها. Actions are judged by their aims and purposes. I want us to take not just the technicality, to focus on anything that we do. What is my aim? What do I want to get out of it? Right? When we will go and talk to students of knowledge or other students, that we will ask them, what is your aim? Before I advise you, this is the right way to study, or what is your aim behind this? Why did you come and study? If you came for an Arabic program, then focus, don't go all over the place. If you came for Quran, then focus, don't go, kind of like know your intent, and you're coming to get into Azhar, then yes, focus on these tools. And then the next thing is become familiar with these books to prepare for the placement exam. Right? So there's same thing, student of knowledge, but the aims might be different. What do you want to be when you graduate? What is your aim? You want to deal with, let's say, just general Islamic education, then it's Dirasat Islamiyya and Usuluddin, maybe it's good, right? You want to deal with counseling and giving advice and so on, that from the Sharia, then you study Sharia, you study fiqh, you study the sciences. Why? So you can have the tools to be able to understand a person's religious circumstances and need, and then you try to prescribe with the Sharia what will bring them benefit. In regards the those legal axioms that are derived from it, inshallah, we're almost done, inshallah. العبرة في العقود. Let me just give a few examples. We can cover the branches and then move on to the next card the next week. An example of العبرة بالعقود is in regards of like an agreement. You get into an agreement and you are trying to decide, and the person should have the intention to be sincere, both parties, in the agreement. For example, somebody sells an item in exchange of something, bi'awad, and he sells an item, but in the phrase that he says, it sounds like a gift, right? He's selling something. بينما هو عقد بيع لا عقد هبة. But he sold an item. It might be interpreted as, is it a gift? Is it sold? But he sold the item. And the intention is he sold the item. So regardless of how it sounds, the intention takes precedence, and it is an item that was sold. So this is al-ibra bil-uqud lil-maqasid wal-ma'ani lil-alfad wal-mabani. So here, in regards to the contracts, is the maqasid, the aim, and then is built upon by the statements, and you build upon that intention by what you say. The next one is من تعجل شيء قبل أوانه أوقب بحرمانه كقاتل مواريثه لا يرث. So for example, whoever and hastens to get something before is due, right? Then they might be prevented from attaining that. Like someone who inherits. This person inherits, right? And he ends up, let's say, killing someone in order to get the inheritance. That person is prevented from la yarith. He does not inherit. And that's one of the reasons for al hajb, like the prevention from inheriting. In regards, another one is al wasa'il laha ahkamu al maqasid, like the means to something have rulings based on their objectives. Like traveling, كالسفر له حكم ما قصد به. Like you're traveling. Okay, you're traveling. Why are you traveling? So the traveling, the traveling, the vehicle, all of this is a means, wasa'il. But what's the intention behind the traveling? Right? So therefore, al-wasa'il laha ahkamu al-maqasid. So it takes the ruling of this travel. If somebody's traveling like in the shortening and the combining of prayer, right? One of the conditions was, and is in the ultimate conspectus, was safar ghayr al-ma'asiyah. That you're traveling not for disobedience to Allah. Let's say I'm traveling, but my intention to travel is that I'm going to the casino. So I'm gonna go in my car. The money I earned was halal. I got in my vehicle. I said the dua of safar. Subhanalladhi sakhra lana hadha wa kunna lahu muqrinin. You intend, you look at the mileage, it's past 50 miles. So that means that, right? No, if it's ma'asiyah, if it's something that is clearly disobedience to Allah, then you don't have the permission to shorten and abridge. Right? Because gambling is considered haram according, and it's qat'i, is apparently haram from the Quran as clearly stated. Right? Another one is يغتفر في وسائل ما لا يضر مقاصد كان النظر إلى المخطوبة. All right. So for example, I don't know how to translate this phrase, but meaning like doing some action in order, like for example, somebody that wants to get engaged. If the intention is sincerely to get engaged and the one who he's going to get engaged to has niqab, then it is permissible for him to see her, right? Because he needs to know who's going to be his wife, right? But if a person is just doing it to go around and seeing the faces of sisters, then that becomes something haram. So innamal a'malu binniyat, actions are judged by the intention. Like another example, if the last one is, if two matters take one إذا اتحد الأمران جنسا. So two matters it fall into like one action. Like you need to make ghusl and you forget, you go into the river, you come out. In the Hanafi school, it's a little bit easier. You're good. You're good, right? The Shafi school and I think the Hanbali school, not sure about the Maliki school, but you have to make the niyyah to do that, right? But so here, that's what it means, like كغسل واحد, like that you're taking, you can make the intention, I'm gonna go, I need to make ghusl, I'm gonna go in the river with the intention to lift that janaba, then that's valid. But if you, according to the other schools, if you do it, it has to have you have to have an intention, inshallah ta'ala. So we are on time, I think. I am sorry that time is limited for question and answers, but I hope it's clear. We try to cover a lot. We utilizing this text that's on the screen, and also we're utilizing some notes from a course that I had taken in 2002, right, on this subject. And then we have another nice little booklet that Sheikh Yusuf Rios had given me in 2005 in Egypt, which is Al-Minhaj in the knowledge of Al-Qawaid Al-Fiqhiyah, right, by Sheikh Abdurrahman ibn Abdul Khaliq. So this is the, so we're utilizing multiple sources, inshallah, to hopefully just try to make this matter clear. And there's a lot, I mean, in these books, there are a lot of examples on intention in regular matters, in ibadat, in dealings. But just let us try to learn even just the names of these 5 major legal axioms. So this one is actions are judged by their aims and purposes. Actions are judged by their aims and purposes, right? Actions are judged by their aims and purposes. That is, it would, and these legal axioms help us make decisions and guide our decision making in life, right? And this is even good for new Muslims. Without having a lot of knowledge, just check yourself. What's your intention? You're going to accept Islam. Why? You're going to attend this class. Why? Right? Why? If it's maybe above your level, below, just be sincere with yourself, right? And be sincere with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But at least to be reminded of the importance of the intention with Allah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah give us all tawfiq. Wa sallallahu wa baraka ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Barakallahu fikum.